me now is immigrant rights activist and a recent law school graduate, Carlos Eduardo Espina, and political commentator Morgan McMichael. Both are Gen Z voters. Good morning to both of you this morning. Thanks for being with me.
Good morning. Thank you so much.
So both of you are also, big time social media content creators. Combined, you have some 12 million followers between you. So people look to you, they talk to you about the state of the race. Morgan, let me start with you, if you're comfortable with sharing who you're supporting and why.
I will be voting for President Donald J. Trump in this next election. And the reason why is, as a conservative woman, I think that we need to uphold tradition within our country. We need to uphold the Constitution, and we need to continue to focus on issues that matter most to me, like inflation, as well as a lot of other Gen Zers care about inflation in our country, how we're going to afford gas and groceries, buying a home in the future, and the illegal immigration crisis as well. There's an open border with millions of illegal immigrants flooding into our country, which is causing chaos. And I think that for me, those are the top two issues that are affecting my vote.
Carlos, I know you spoke at the DNC. I listened to your speech there. I'm never going to assume, you know what happens when you assume, but will you be voting for Harris on the other side of the coin?
I already voted for Harris. I'm here in Texas. I already early voted. I got my whole family out to vote as well. And I think the reason is very simple. Democracy is on the ballot this November. We have a candidate who still refuses to accept that he lost overwhelmingly in 2020. He holds rallies where he talks about not respecting the results of the election. His talking points are just full of hate and anger and violence towards my community and many others. And I think that goes against everything America stands for and makes this country great. So I already voted, and I'm encouraging my audience to do the same for Kamala Harris.
Let me talk to both of you about just conversations you're having with voters who are your same age. Morgan, I was scrolling both of your Instagrams yesterday, but Morgan, I saw you conduct a lot of, what we call in my industry, man on the street interviews, which I love because, not only are they entertaining, they can get, downright cringy at times. When you talk to Gen Zers, do you feel like no matter who they're voting for, do they have a solid grasp and understanding on why they are voting for their candidate?
Absolutely. And I talked to many college students across the nation. I have primarily been focusing on swing states. Just last week, I was in Atlanta, Georgia, and I met a man who had been unbrainwashed by himself and was exposed to the lies that the current administration has been propagating on the internet. And I think that's the number one thing that I am seeing within Gen Z, 41 million eligible voters with this next election, is that we're waking up to issues that are propagating on the internet. We're sick and tired of the government lying to us. We're tired of the mainstream media lying to us. And so instead, we're turning towards commentators and people like Charlie Kirk, Turning Point Action on college campuses to actually provide an alternative narrative than what is shown on college campuses. And I think that's the most, awakening thing that I have noticed is that there are many Gen Zers who are just hungry for the truth and they want real accuracy of what is going on in our country. So I see a lot of people that are waking up to that. But unfortunately, majority of the Harris voters that I talk to are very emotional, and they say that they're voting for Kamala Harris because she's not Donald Trump, which, I'm sorry, isn't really an answer when you can't tell me why Donald Trump was such a bad president, so you like to say, when it's just not true. So I'm sick and tired of hearing a lot of the lies that are being propagated on the internet by Harris supporters. And because when I talk to them, I can't seem to actually get a straight answer of why they're voting for her when it comes to policy or actual legislation that they want to see passed.
And Carlos, let me let you respond to that, because I know you're having conversations, private conversations too, that aren't meant for social media. Does what you're hearing track with what Morgan is saying, that a lot of Harris supporters are voting for her because it's the anti-Trump vote? What are folks telling you?
Yeah, there's definitely a big portion of people who are voting for Kamala Harris, not so much because they love her 100%, but because they're against they're against Donald Trump. I think that is true. But there's other people who genuinely do like her. I didn't really know much about her up until recently, and yeah, the more I got to know her, her policies, her vision, I think it's a much better vision than the one Donald Trump offers for this country. But at the same time, I think something was brought up that's really important, and it's what the truth is and what the truth isn't. I think social media has been really good for allowing people, to see different perspectives and get information they probably wouldn't otherwise. But it also has become a breeding ground for a lot of misinformation. And what I've realized, especially working in the area of immigration, is, the Trump campaign and the right in general, most of their policies on immigration are based on lies, things that simply aren't true, and people giving opinions about things that they're not educated on. I mean, you hear about the border being open and all these other things, which just simply aren't true. And yes, there are issues that need to be addressed. But I think when you have a candidate, I mean, just look at the debate, the eating dogs and cats and all these other conspiracy theories, and using that to rile up voters. I just think it's anti-democratic and it's just not a good look. And I think that's what's really put a lot of people off. I think if the Trump campaign had really focused on actual issues and on the truth and not making these conspiracy theories up, it would have been a lot better. But I think that's very damaging to our country and to democracy and to our future.
Well, 41 million new Gen Z voters go into the polls. We'll see how they vote next week. Carlos Eduardo Espina, Morgan McMichael, thank you both for being here this morning with me. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.